Hi, Gwen, Julia, Gail, Brian, Arlene, Amanda, Ada. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start our webinar today. It's on in-person sales, and I want to say thank you for everyone here. We started doing these webinars because we were talking on the phone, and it's a terrible situation we find ourselves in, and we thought, okay, we're going to get some positivity going. We're going to talk about things and try to lift our spirits. And 2 weeks ago, we were having this webinar, and we're answering questions about in-person sales, and it got the ball rolling, and people were asking, well, why don't we start another one on, dedicated to in-person sales. So this is just a lead up into a series of, things that we can do for our businesses to get the ball rolling. So today, specifically, we're going to talk about some typical or common myths that people have about in-person sale. Hi, Adriana. We're just asking everyone to turn off their webcams, okay? So let me get this, and I'll see you later. Okay, if I can get this on, stop. Okay, I'll see you, Adriana, later. So we're going to talk about myths like, I don't have time to see my clients after the session. My work isn't good enough. I don't have the confidence to show my work in products. I don't have anywhere to display the products, or customers won't pay for the products. Customers only want digital images. And finally, I don't know how to sell products. So those are some of the myths we're going to talk about, and then we're going to talk about what IPS would require from us. So number one, in confidence. We need some confidence to make sure that we can go out there, we know what we're talking about, we sound credible, we sound professional. 2, investments. We need to invest in our businesses. Like everyone, something that, we're going to talk about more, but definitely you're going to need some investments. Number 3, tied in, spend money to make money. So not only with products, but there's other business expenses that you're going to entail when you're doing in-person sales. 4, a printed price list. 5, software to show images, to talk to your customers, reach out to your customers. And 6, the sales process, techniques. This is just going to be a brief overview on that subject because I know that there's a lot of ways to do it, and we're going to delve into this further next week. So this week it's just a little touch up on that part, and next week we're going to have a full, more developed, talk about the processes. So to help in our discussion today, I have my Friday night team. I have Sherry Shapiro from Focus Studios, Trevor Sherwin from Provocateur Images, and Francine Bichon of Francine B Photography. Thank you, everybody. I'm so happy to see you again. Oh, I have to tell you, locking the doors to the showroom and not seeing anybody ever is really weird, I have to say, because these 3 come in all the time and I never get to see them, and it's a little weird. I know. We'll talk about that later. Weird stuff later. So we're going to talk about in-person sales. Some housekeeping before we start. Just to let you all know, we're recording this webinar. I'm going to have it available on our YouTube channel, GTAImaging. If you haven't already seen, we have a 6-part photographer series on selling, and Trevor's our host in those series. If you have any questions, there's a chat box, and you can type your message to just the organizer, that's me. And if there's time at the end, I want to take some group pictures. And I can only show 25 screens at a time, so we'll do like half and half. I think that should get everybody in, and we'll take a cheese photo. Okay, please indulge me. All right, so we're gonna start. We're gonna get to the meat of it. Let's go. Common fears and myths about IPS.
Actually, before we get to that, you know, the one question I wanted to ask everybody, because we did a little pre-planning thing before we jumped on live here, but I'm curious, Francine and Shiri, how long have you been doing in-person sales for?
I would say for me about 6-7 years.
Yeah, about the same. I actually, I always did IPS. As soon as I started with portrait work, I started IPS.
Nope, I was all inclusive. I was the, I'll get there.
We're gonna get to that. But yeah, I started out with IPS. Even for my first set of Christmas sessions, I printed out 5x7s and I matted them, and I sold like the best 4, even for Christmas. And that was my first sales were Christmas. Weird.
Good.
Yeah, I've been IPS almost the whole way through. I think I probably did a little bit of not IPS, but yeah. So I guess, yeah, we're the right panelists is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always done it.
So when we talk about IPS,
Tricia,
everyone, just to be sure. Yeah, it's okay.
I want to make sure we were all.
Yeah, and then so I'll just ask the audience if you can just type in the chat box there and let us know how many years you've been doing this or you have not. So IPS is in-person sales. It's where you meet with your clients and show them their images and sell products in a sales session. Okay, so Francine, are we ready?
Let's get
I'm
into
sorry.
it.
I'm just having a.
Okay, so why don't we can start with Shiri then if you want.
Yeah, I can start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coming back.
Shiri.
I mean, I'm right here. I'm just.
Yes. Shiri, can we talk about the confidence that people need? Yeah.
So we're starting with like the fears and the myths, so that way we can later on, you know, squash them because they don't exist. So as like I just mentioned, I actually didn't start with IPS. I was a all-inclusive photographer. I've been like a family portrait, and I used to do events like weddings and stuff like that. So I've been a photographer for 10 years. So the first 3 years was all inclusive. Here's the digital files. Thank you, you know, see you later. And I was also delivering like 100 images. So like over one outdoor family session. So why? And the truth is like deep down, I honestly didn't think that I was good enough. I had zero confidence. Like I knew that I mean, I went to school for photography. I was a Humber graduate with photography. And so, you know, I had the technical and the technique behind it, but I still never really thought that I was good enough. So I was like, family session, here's 100 images on a CD or DVD, whenever it was, you know, 10 whatever years ago, for $350. And I thought that I was like in the money. Like I was like, this is fantastic. This is where I feel comfortable. And I honestly just had zero confidence on, you know, well, what do you mean? Like, even if I remember wanting to go up $100. Like I was like, you know what, maybe I'll charge like $450. And that fear like completely just destroyed me. I'm not going to go too farther into that because I want to, in the next segment, I want to actually talk about how I got over my fear. But I would have to say that number one thing is like the confidence of making sure that you feel that you are in fact good enough. So I will now pass it on to Francine.
Okay, so
you know, like sorry to jump in. Sure, you made a really good point. But the only question I'm going to ask is, when you made that first sale, did that instantly boost your confidence?
But and for what? When I went to IPS?
Yeah, like just getting that confidence. So like, oh, geez, I can charge this money, right?
You know what? Yes and no. I actually have a yes and no answer to that. So I will, when it's my turn to talk about my confidence again, like in the next, I'll explain why. But my answer, like a really, I guess, easy is yes and no. So yes, 100%. It for sure increased my confidence, and it boosted me to every year increase my prices over and over and over and over again, to like every time, you know, I'm trying to push for more of an average sale. And when I get pissed off at my sales, I tend to like increase my prices even more to really push myself. So 100% it boosted me, but I'll explain why the no, like why it was a yes and no, like later. So I'll get there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Francine.
Okay, so before I had technical difficulties, we were talking about we don't have time to meet our clients after or do even a sales session. So my point to that is that you are going to, I mean, you would make the time if you're gonna make $3,000 in, you know, 2 hours. Why wouldn't you find the time? Like, you drop your amount of shoots to say you're shooting like maybe 30 clients a month, and then you drop them down to 10, but you add on a 2-hour sales appointment to those 10 clients, you are going to be making more money in shooting those 10 with the IPS than you would be 30, 40, 50, almost even 60 shoots in 1 month. So why wouldn't you make the time for that? Like, you make time for things that are important. So
and just to clarify, Francine, you're not shooting 30 weddings a month, right?
Oh no, I don't do weddings at all. No, I'm shooting about 30 in my busy season. I shoot about, yeah, maybe about 20 newborns and, you know, 10 maternity usually.
Newborn, babies, and maternity. Do you do families too?
I mean, I'm not gonna say no, but I don't really market for that, no.
Okay, all right. And just to, I didn't explain to everyone in our audience today, but Sherry's a family photographer, newborn baby photographer, yep. And Trevor's our resident boudoir photographer who rocks it.
Yeah, so amazing.
Amazing, amazing pictures. If you haven't seen his pictures, go follow him. It's like unbelievable.
Don't do it at work, unless you're working from home. Then it's okay.
Well, there you go.
All right, Trevor, can we talk about nowhere to display products?
Yeah.
What do you tell people who don't have anywhere to display their products?
I remember being in that boat, although for the longest time I was, because I guess the first year or two, I think I was like renting studios all the time. So you're kind of like, you rent for your block of time and you shoot and you leave, because like you'd have to pay more if you wanted to meet someone there. And I'm not about to pay like $75 to $100 an hour to meet with someone. So I would just meet up with them later. And I can't tell you how many times I've met at a Starbucks. Like it's like, wow. Especially for what I do. I mean, I've had like people just like going, "Oh my God, look at my bum," like to my laptop in the middle of Starbucks. And then I actually had a couple people come up after and say, "What do you do? I need to know." Yeah. And I actually booked a few people on the spot. But also because, you know, you've got to have, you know, you got to be able to display your product, and you just need to take a few samples with you. You know, if your primary thing is selling albums, then just have 1 or 2 albums. For the longest time, I ran with like this big case. It honestly was like almost 18 inches by 18 inches. It held 1 or 2 books. It held some of my business cards. It was like kind of like a little portfolio thing. And it was great, except like that's back when I was selling kind of like very inexpensive books. But I always just had it with me. It was just part of my kit that I rolled with. And yeah, you have to be able to display your product. And while you're shooting, and while somebody in my case is in a makeup chair, they should be looking at finished product. Part of the welcome process for me now is to go over these kind of products, but I invented doing that before I ever had a studio. So I've always been showing people the product, and you can use things like Zoom meetings and GoToMeetings and all these other things to show product. And all you got to do is just kind of like literally take it out of the box and just kind of hold it up to the person, and hopefully they've at least seen the thing, so you can at least compare and contrast sizes. But, you know, there's ways of doing it. They're not as elegant as having a studio, but certainly that shouldn't be an excuse to not do it.
Yeah, one thing that, sorry.
It's pretty easy to get past.
Yeah.
One thing that I was going to say, yeah, I know. I just want to actually touch on, if you are going to show artwork, like have it in your car to take to a Starbucks or their home, and you don't want to walk around with like those 30, 40-inch pieces, because, you know, the whole thing about, you know, selling is you want to sell, like show what you sell, what you show what you sell. It's late. It's Friday. So the other thing that I sometimes tend to do is, instead of, you know, me carrying those honker pieces, have a measuring tape. It goes a long way to be able to really show the difference between an 8x10 or a 16x20 that you have, you know, available in your car, to, you know, doing your 24x36s or your 20x30s, or really showing the difference. So that's something that, if you don't have a studio to display the pieces, at least have the materials that you want to have them printed that goes to your brand with a measuring tape. That was the only thing I wanted to add, sorry.
Yeah, because for wall art, what I do in the past is I'd taken a photograph of a wall, or you could just download a stock image for that matter, and you just mock up different sizes. So I actually had, for the longest time, and I still use it in one of my promo pieces, like a photo of like a sofa, and there's like just black lines that says, here's my impact size, here's my standard size, here's my regular size. Like, and it's lines on a wall, literally. So you can do that. And then I would just have, I think it was like an 8x10. At the time, it was a canvas, just to show people what the material looked like.
Right.
So you have a mini version of that, and then kind of show in relation to a couch that somebody can perceive in their head what it looks like. Also, I mean, there are softwares out there where you can get the customer to snap a picture of their wall, and then you can kind of drop the stuff on too. So that's even better, and that was not available 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of my point. Like, it's important to differentiate displaying your product and having samples, because a lot of people might be thinking, well, I again, kind of like, I have nowhere to display my product, but that's not true. Exactly what Trevor said, like, you just have to have samples to touch and feel. And even if you're doing like Zoom meetings, like do like a video of a showcase of your products. And like that's an easy point to get around. There's tons of ways now, especially, that you can get around doing that. So that definitely shouldn't be like a point where it's like, I don't have a studio, so like, no.
Make videos too. Right?
Yeah,
post them on Instagram, post them on your website, and when clients book with you, they should be part of your automated emails about, hey, check out all the stuff you can buy from me. Don't talk prices, but just, here's all the cool stuff. And then they kind of already know it by the time they walk in the door when they shoot with you.
Or even like, for what I'm doing is I'm doing like all the videos right now, and I'm gonna do like stories for my Instagram that people can go in and click through the products of all the different stories. And I feel like I might do the starting prices for each item, just so that there's, well, we'll get
profiling.
There's no surprises.
Yeah, so you can profile.
But,
Awesome.
That sounds great. Yeah. So, Francine, can we talk about customers won't pay for product? I know that this is something that you love talking about to me.
Yeah.
And I know I've heard your opinion. And I love your enthusiasm, the way you just like say, this is how it is.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why it shouldn't work. So take it away.
Yeah, I could probably take up the entire time talking about this. I'm not.
Okay, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But there's like tons of points to it. The first one being is that you need to charge what you're valued for your work. And as professionals, like every single person can pick up a camera and be like, oh, guess what? I'm a photographer now, and start shooting and selling digitals. But it marks a professional photographer when you have an end game, you have an end product, like, and you have to charge for that. It's part of your status. So if you have a certain amount, like you have a standard of pricing, people vet you for your pricing. And a lot of people will say, like, I mean, when I have inquiries, I first get like, oh, no, you're too expensive. and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, you guys can do a Google search and find cheaper people. And they always come back because the value, your pricing value, it's almost a reflection of your value as a professional. And people pay money for professionals. If you know what you're doing, they will pay money for your expertise. And every single time I raise my prices, there's that little voice in the back of my head that is like, oh my God, nobody on earth is gonna pay this. And then you know what? They absolutely do, all the time. All the time. I've never had someone who didn't see the value of the product in what they're paying for. And the pricing kind of just, it goes hand in hand. Like you see the product and the product is valuable and it's good quality and it's amazing and it's the top of the line product. And then the price for that product matches that. And people automatically think like, okay, now we're high rollers, or now we're in the luxury feel of photography, and they pay it and they're happy for it and they value it. So don't ever say that no one is going to pay your pricing, because they do. I've never had someone who said, no, we're not going to pay this. Like they just always do, all the time. And every single time I do my pricing and I raise it and I raise it again and I raise it again, they absolutely do, all the time.
Okay, I have a question, Francine, from Ada. Ada asks, what about the clients that say that they don't have the time? So it's not the photographer, it's the clients that say they don't have the time to meet with you, especially with the newborn, or people who don't want to come for their maternity session and then again for their newborn. How do you work around your customers' timeline?
So for my clients, I just say, well, I'm not equipped to do it online, unfortunately, and all review appointments are done in person. So when you are ready to see your images, let me know and we'll book an appointment.
Set expectation.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And I actually have a different way of doing it. So that's kind of cool that we all do it differently. So that's good.
But even still, like I know some photographers do the Zoom meetings. I haven't done one. My first one is on Wednesday, which I'm nervous about. But no, like when they book, it says on my website, it says what I talk to them about when they book, in the email confirming everything before they pay their session fees. It says I will take the time to sit down in person with you and review your images and help you get the best images and the best way of displaying them for your money. I don't say like it's a hassle to you that you have to come in and sit with me. No, no, no. I am giving you my time in person to help you. So it's an added service. It's a luxury service.
That's
it's
right.
not like, oh, we don't have
That's
time.
right. That's right. Yeah. Setting the expectation. This is how it's going to be, letting them know, and then following through with that and providing that service, right?
Yeah.
You know, showing the professionalism.
Yeah, so I love the fact that like 100% when you're talking about in-person sales, it's in person. So 100% you kind of have like I love that, you know, that Francine, like luxury. Like as soon as you add that feel, and it's not necessarily about providing a service, it's 100% providing an experience. So that way you are there to help them. So this actually goes into what I'm going to be talking about next, is about, all I want is digital files. And that's obviously everybody, regardless of your genre, that's what they want. So I'm going to get to that in one sec, because I do want to say something that I do as a newborn photographer. So I have clients that sometimes come pretty far for their session. And the truth is they don't want to come back sometimes. Okay. Like I do set the expectation. It's everywhere on my website. When we do our consultation, I say you're going to come back to, review your images so we can go through it, or whichever. There are cases where I will actually do my IPS right after the session. So it's still in person. Yeah. So I do have like caveats to it. If the newborn or the maternity session is you know, obviously if it's an outdoor maternity session, no, like you're going to come back to see it. But if it's in my studio and you know, there is a lot of time after, or if the newborn session is like 2 hours or 2.5 hours and we feel good, we're not, you know, sweaty and exhausted or whatever, I allow them to, you know, feed the baby. While they're feeding the baby, I then call through their images really quick and I do the exact same process. And I explain, clearly your images are going to be unedited. I shoot pretty clean anyway, so I'm confident to show unedited work. We go through the images, they select their images, and the sales session is done. I'm paid that day in full, and I put their process through, and it's literally like a 1 to 2 week turnaround for the client, and I'm now the luxury, you know, hero of like, look how fast our turnaround. Now, I don't do it often. I don't do it often because truly after a newborn session, I feel disgusting and I want to go home and take a shower. But a lot of times they listen. Newborn, we all know. We all know. My studio. My studio is like 100 degrees. Like, no, it's done. But yeah, like it's a great way to be like, you know what, there is no excuse. Now, I am also one of those photographers that does Zoom. It has, since I started doing it, honestly, like I love it. It hasn't hindered my sales because I also set the expectation and I preset what I do at the session for my Zoom meetings, which again, we will talk later because again, like Francine, I can talk about this like all day long. Okay, so moving ahead and going into my customers just want digital files.
Yes.
So do you know why? Do you know why? I have the answer. Because they don't know what else to ask for because that's what they think they want. There's really no, it's really that simple. They want to have a control because we live in a world and society of control and entitlement and just ease of having everything yourself. And they don't know what else to ask for because you may not have any other options and they just don't know what else. Because now we live in a world of digital. The asking for digital files is like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, asking for the negatives. There's no difference. Digital files versus negatives, it's just a control thing. There's ways of working around it. There's ways of being confident to say no or yes, absolutely, you can have it with restrictions and with playing by my rules because you're coming to me for my service, for my experience. You're coming to me for, you know, tangible products to make sure that I'm providing a service and an experience that at the end of the day, you'll still get your digital files, but as a start to finish luxury service, I'm providing you with everything. All you have to do is put a, you know, nail in the wall, put the artwork up, get an album on your table, have something for your kids. So digital files, yeah, 100% they want them, 100% you can give that, but they don't know what else to ask for, and that's why.
So I just need to say, like, anyone who everyone offers digitals. So everyone, exactly what you said. So everyone offers digitals, everyone expects them. Nobody sell, or very few of us sell product. If we all started selling product, everyone would start expecting product and they would value you as a photographer. They would be like, what? You don't sell wall art? Instead of saying like, do you know what I mean? Like if we all did it, it's just because everyone all sells digitals. And what is the point of selling your soul for it to sit on a computer on a USB and be corrupted in 5 years anyways?
Forget that though. What about purchasing the digitals? Let's just flip it. Let's say somebody is charging $1,000, $2,000 for digital files. You made a killer. How much as far as you selling your soul for that and them going to go print it at Walmart? And they're showing all their friends, look at what I did. And they're like, this is what you pay $2,000 for? Like,
yeah, that's not a reflection of my work. And I say straight up to my clients, like, you can buy the digitals. I will sell them to you. However, I'm a professional service, so you should get a professionally done print for your digitals. But anyways, I will sell them to you. But just know that Walmart prints are not going to look like mine. And they essentially damage my files, just so you know. So you can buy them, I'll sell them to you, but they're not going to look like my stuff. And you guys need to know that. I say that in the
I think
in
part
like
of the other, one of the other realities is people get digital files, and one of the things I usually tell my clients is like, well, what are you going to do? You're just going to leave these on a computer for forever? I mean, wouldn't you want both? Wouldn't you want the flexibility of some digital files and also have a book to touch and feel, or some wall art to remind you of how amazing you are, or anything like that? I've always looked at not providing a printed product after a session as kind of like I didn't complete my job.
Yeah.
It was like my way of being a lazy photographer, and I do put it back on us because it's very easy to just go, here are your images, here you go, thanks, have a nice day.
Yeah.
I know a lot of wedding photographers do that, but I mean, I have not shot a lot of weddings personally, but I have a lot of wedding photographer friends who have tremendous success basically saying, if you get my base package, you don't get the digital images, you get a very basic album, and then like maybe your top package, you get all the images that go in the albums included, plus maybe a few candids or something, depending on who you are. But like the digital images come with the printed product, which is the way I do things.
Yeah.
So
we have a
I mean,
question.
we're into pricing and stuff later, but it's really important to just, if you change your mindset from the finished point is the digital file to the finished point is the printed product, it completely changes your mindset as a photographer. And then the digital images just become like a little, oh, if you want a digital files, cool, here's a little bonus for you. And you almost get to be the good guy by selling them product. It just seems to work, and just, we need to do our jobs.
So I have some questions here. So first one, I'll say, it's from Eric. It's from, and he says, people are more savvy these days and they have tons of good quality sites to make their own books and portraits. What do you say to that? No?
No.
No, like a lot of times you don't know how to design this, and how much time do you want to invest yourself doing this?
That's a really great point, especially for wedding photos. Like you're talking about hundreds of images, and talking from somebody who does design albums, right? I've done it for, oh my gosh, I don't want to date myself, but I've done it for a long time, okay? And so there's a way to do it and to make the images look a certain ways rather than looking like a grid of contact sheets in an album. So you don't want to be making a yearbook, okay? This is not like a thumbnail, of who's who for your wedding story. Something like that. It should have a flow to it. It needs a beginning, a middle, an end, and a visual aesthetic. And I think that that's something only photographers and designers can really do. It's not something that, well, I was a bride, but that's different because I did it for myself. But I don't think that most brides, they're not doing their own hair, they're not doing their own makeup, they're not sewing their own dress. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
It's because you're the expert. You are the expert.
Just on that as well, like if you, I don't know who asked that question, I forgot his name, but
it was Eric. Yeah.
Eric, if you think that, what you should do is go and pick the best lab, not GTA, your best consumer level lab, and print an image, and then print the exact same image with a professional grade lab, and then go and show your clients the difference, because I promise you there will be a giant difference. And to that answer for your clients that says, oh, well, we could just do it ourselves, we can print at Shutterfly or wherever it is, be like, yes, but this is what you're going to end up with compared to my professional grade images. And the difference is light and day.
One other little point to that. Please, for the love of God, everybody, do not be giving your clients the high-res, full-resolution images. Like, I have never done that. They've always gotten maybe like a equivalent 4 or 5 megapixel image that they can print up to an 8x10 if they want. Like, honestly, I'm not interested for my business printing 4x6 and 8x10 prints. Just not my thing. I'm going to make you something for the wall. I'm going to make you a book. So if you want those kind of images, they're perfect for, you know, like on an iPad or an iPhone. They're perfect for emailing around, but they shouldn't even have files to make the really amazing finished products, even if they have a source, because you should not be giving those away ever for any reason whatsoever. Period. If I could make
laying down the law.
A good point.
Like, just don't do it.
I mean, I do that, but you know what? I think I'm gonna follow you now, Trevor, and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna.
You won't, like, people only don't need 24 or 36 megapixel files. They need something manageable.
And plus,
That's
I
right.
just want them for Facebook anyways, right?
Yeah, and for 5 megapixels for Facebook is plenty. Don't worry, Facebook dumbs it down
Actually,
anyway.
it's really funny. I had a newborn, so okay, I'm like one of those people that do give out the high res photos because it takes me whatever. It takes me longer to resize them. But anyway,
My hair fall out more.
oh, your hair fall. But here's a funny thing that you actually just totally mentioned that. I had a client that called me and said that the file size was too big and if I can shrink it so they can reprint. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, okay. So yeah, so that actually makes it makes some sense. There you go. There you have it.
I'm gonna follow you there, Trevor. I think you're right.
Yeah, you're right. I never even, because the truth is, here's the thing. I don't think, I never really thought of it because until like that client said it and then you just said it, I don't think anyone actually does anything with the digital files that I provide them because I'm providing them with albums and artwork. So again, it's just more of that having it for control because there's no difference between a digital file and a negative. So I think that it's never come up because no one's ever tried to print. And the ones that do clearly have issues because my file sizes are way too big.
Yeah, and if somebody comes at you and says, hey, I want the full resolution file, then you say there is an extra charge for that because I am not selling you pixels, I am selling you usage rights. And that is just like a commercial job at that point. So, you know, like, that's why I say, make your file management easy too. Like, just, you can, like, when I upload like 60 images to a client, it's usually under 30 megabytes because like they're good quality JPEGs, but they're not like, you know, the full resolution of the camera and stuff. So it makes the upload way easier.
So I have a question for all of you. Do you all meet with your clients then for their reveal, for their images? Yeah.
Yep.
Each of you. So they're not given a gallery before you see them.
Never.
Picture.
The only thing one of my clients gets is a sneak peek.
Same.
And that has my referral program information on it. Because in my situation, I've had clients that come in who, unlike a lot of photographers, people who come in to see me in a boudoir context, they're terrified because they're like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And they're super nervous and it's totally normal, right? But that being said, if they leave and they're not going to be back for a week, they need a little encouragement after I've been high-fiving them all day long. They need to know that they didn't just like get lied to or something. They need to know that like, yeah, I killed it. So I find one pic I don't have to do much touching up with, and I'll send that. And then it's an image with like, kind of like my referral program info right on it, like baked into the thing. It's just a Photoshop template I drop these horizontal images into. And I send that to them and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then they tell all their friends because it's got like referral info on it. So that's
I actually,
the only thing they get after a session.
So same, I do sneak peeks as well. And then I also review images. So the one thing that sometimes it happens, they're like, oh, well, you know, now that we did the sales session, we need more time to think about, or my husband is not here, so I need him, or like they basically want any, like I've literally heard every excuse in the book as far as like, you know, can we review the images later, or, you know, all decision party members aren't here, so we can't make the decision, it's a big investment or whatever. So to get around that, you obviously have to make sure that during your sales session, the expectation is every person that has the all the decision makers of finances needs to be here.
Yeah.
And otherwise, like we can't move forward. You have to make sure that they have your pricing, so it's not like, surprise, this is what it is. So it's also educating them to ensure that they know what they're getting into. And if they still can't make a decision, you say, no problem, when can we book another appointment? Never. I'd rather spend another hour or 2 hours to make a $1,500, a $2,000, a $3,000 sale than put it online and have them walk out with, like, you know, hundreds of dollars. And I just put all my sweat. No, I will book another appointment. I do not put anything online, even if my watermark is like this big. Nope.
I agree with you. I do the exact same thing, Sherry, where I'm like, oh, but a good way of saying, like, decision makers, you don't have to say the word decision makers, but you can say, like, you know, I really want mom and dad both to share this experience of seeing the images for the first time. That's what I say, instead of saying, like, oh, mom, you can't make a decision without your husband. No, because if someone said that to me, I would be offended. But I say, you know, it's such a special time. It's really important that moms and dads come together. So, and I have booked appointments where, for whatever the reason, mom shows up without dad and they bring like a mother-in-law or something. I'll say, you know, it's really sad that he's gonna miss it. And then at the end of the day, I already know what's gonna happen, but I go through it the same way. And then I will rebook an appointment for dad to come in as well. And I'll say, you know, it's important that mom and dad come in at the same time. At that point, I'll say it's important that mom and dad come in together because you guys need to be on the same page. That's it.
Before we move on, can we answer a couple more questions, and then we're gonna have to do the second part of the talk a little bit quicker. But
if we go a few minutes over, I don't think anybody's really gonna get mad at us.
We are gonna eventually go over, because it's but I think this is, like, we're getting a lot of questions, and I like that. I like that people are really interested and they have, you know, things that they want to talk about. So we have a wedding photographer who's asking, you know, if their package is already set really high and they're couples, they don't have more budget for the albums.
What?
And there's if the client has not booked an album,
plug in your iPod, you know.
No.
How do you start talking to a couple about an album after they've already booked a really expensive session, like the wedding package?
Okay, can I take this one?
Yes, please. Francine, go ahead.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Do it.
I'm going to pretend that I'm talking to a client right now. I'm not even a wedding photographer, but I'm going to pretend that I'm talking to a client. And I will say, you know what? This is the biggest day of your life. Do you really want to put all your images on a computer and never see them again? Or do you want to have an album to share with your family, to share with your friends when they come over, to share, like, to, you know, you are your parents' baby. Like, they want albums too. Like, why wouldn't you have the budget for that? Like, even saying they don't have a budget for it, trust me, if you sell it right, they will find the money for it. It doesn't matter
just
how
take
much
mine. Just take my money.
I have it. Where's my thing? Oh, here. I take
even saying the fact that they don't, if they even bring up they don't have a budget, no, that's bullshit. Sorry. They do have it. They just don't see the value of the product yet. So what you have to do is sell the value of the product. Don't even talk about money. Don't even talk about money, because they just made, like, you know, 60, 70, 80 or 30, or I don't know how much people make on weddings as wedding gifts anymore. But believe me, they have a budget for $1,000 album.
Right,
even
but
if it's from the parents. Even if your parents pay for it, believe me, the parents will see the value in that.
Right. For me, first of all, congratulations on averaging like that much per wedding. So that's a great average. So there's, in my mind, again, so I used to shoot weddings, but this was like back when I was more of like an all-inclusive. However, I still never put the photos up online. I still reviewed the photos with them. You know, they still got the USB with all the photos.
Hundreds of pictures you reviewed with them in person?
Yeah. Wow. I just quickly went through them. I did like a slideshow of my favorite, and then we just quickly went through it. I mean, I knew that I was gonna be with them for 2 hours. I always allocated, you know, we have coffee, we chat, like you know, I have a gift of the gab, so I'm like a chatter, and you know, you build a relationship that way. So even though your packages or your averages are quite long or quite like big, you need to maybe look at it where either increase your packages. So do like a package that already includes. So if your dollar amount is X, you can charge, you know, or sorry, if your packages include prints with digital files and your hours, and it's X amount of dollars, and you want them to sell the albums, you can have an add-on for, let's say, you know, $1,500 for the album, which some people will be like, are you kidding? Like $1,500 for an album when I'm already spending this much money is expensive. And you can say, but wait, do another package that's a pull through that includes an album, but it's for less money. So you're kind of already baiting them to be like, look, you want exactly what Francine said, as far as like, you know, you're investing your time, you know, a wedding can cost $100,000 and you don't want to invest, you know, it's like when people buy a house, their mortgages need to be a certain percentage of what they make. You're investing this much money in a wedding, your photography is the only thing that is going to be like your memory. That's it. There's nothing else. So the photographers are there to capture and document your memories. So have, you know, like creative ways of creating. If you're already doing a package, just do another package that, you know, you're going to, if you do the next package, add the album in, it's going to be less money, even if it's $100 less, $99 less than if they go through the a la carte to add the album. You're coming out as the, oh, well, if I just upgrade the package, I'm spending this much more money. I'm now getting the album and I'm saving $100. You're the winner. So
cool. And then
that's my 2 cents.
I'm going to add on one little bit, and it's not going to be long.
Yeah.
The little add-on to both Francine and Sherry is once they're like, oh, but we still can't afford that right now. And that's when I introduce my payment plans.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. Because when people are spending $5,000 and $6,000 sometimes with me, they don't have that stuff lying around. And if they value what you do, they will find a way to afford it. And if you can say split this out over 3 payments over 60 days, which is my longest term, they don't get any products until the 60 days have elapsed because they got to pay for everything in full first. But that's my nuclear option to like, they'll be like, they can't argue that.
Yeah, payment plans are key. They're great.
I think it's just important to reiterate, though, that it's not about money. It's about value. It's about how you sell the value of your work and the printed product. It doesn't matter what it costs. It could cost, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars, but if you sell the value of it, people are going to buy it.
That's all about education, like letting your clients know what they're getting, not only your skill and, you know, you're talking
and confidence.
Confidence.
Like you have to believe.
And the product itself, right? Because you're selling good product, right?
Yeah.
Are
Okay.
we gonna do the last question?
The last one. Yeah.
Don't
know how to sell products.
Yeah. Well,
where are we? Sorry.
First section, question 6. As I guess my previous work life, I used to train photographers how to sell cameras. And honest to God, it was probably easier for me to learn how to herd cats because, you know, photographers are artists and they're not necessarily salespeople. I would always rather take a salesperson who used to sell cars and teach them about a few basics about photography than go the other way around. However, you know, we have to reserve ourselves to say, like, we are not just the creators. We have to be business people too. And, you know, I'm really amazed by these 2 women here in this group because they do it very well. Like, it's something that takes time. And the one tip I would give people, and this could also go to your phone consultations as well, see if you can just record it with a client. Like, it doesn't have to be a video recording, but even if you can just record an audio thing, like I'm now trying to get in the habit of when I get phone consults on the phone to try and close that to book them. I'm asking them, hey, do you mind, because I don't have time to write down a lot of notes, so I sometimes record these calls just so I can get the info from them again, but I listen back to them, and sometimes they are painful, like, but I learn a lot. Now, sales is all about a process, is really all I'm trying to explain here. You have to present the product early, and that's one of the things where most people fail. They go like, hey, we've done your shoot. Hey, guess what? Here's a bunch of stuff. Want to buy it? And there's no emotional connection. Like Francine was talking about this. Like, you got to be emotionally invested, and you got to get people emotionally involved with the product before you sell emotionally involved with the image before you sell the product.
Yes.
The product just becomes the way of displaying that emotion. And so you do have to have a process. You do have to get a little bit good at it. You gotta, like, even while I'm shooting in a session, I will routinely, like, I'm not gonna flip my camera around very often to show people pictures, but every now and again, you know, when I know there's an image, there's no way that they could nitpick and go, oh my God, there's like a little broad dig in, or like whatever, you know, like the things that people will, their eyes will go to because everybody's got hang-ups about their body. But like those shots that you're just like, that is stunning, right? And I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm like getting all excited as I'm looking at it genuinely. And then I flip it around to them, and as they're looking at it and their jaw is down here somewhere, I'm saying, how awesome would that be on your wall?
Yeah.
All I say. And then it just throws an idea in their head. So when we come to the sales session later, and we're reviewing what they want to buy,
it's lurking there.
It's already there, and they're like,
planting the seed.
You know, and I mean, I know you two, I think, work. Like you basically tell in a newborn session specifically, like you basically tell mom, like, get out, go have a nap, right?
No, I don't. For me, I don't care. I have couches all over my studio. They can sit where they want. Most of them fall asleep because I have the sound machines anyways. But no, I mean, I just say, like, I'll call you when I need you to feed, but I'm full service here, so I'll even change diapers. They're like, hey, so we're going to go take a nap. But yeah, like, no, it's, you know.
I guess the point that I'm making is really relevant to me, or a portrait session where you have the person one-on-one. In a wedding, it makes, I mean, if you can pull a couple aside for a second, you might be able to do that, but tougher in a wedding situation, I would think. And you're really not showing a newborn because, quite frankly, they don't care. But they'll care later when it's their wedding, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, I guess sales ultimately is you just have to refine your process. And I think we're going to talk more about that in next week.
Next week, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to go like more detail on what each of you do, and we're going to have another photographer, Jennifer Gilbert, come on with us too, because she does hers at home and in her client's home. So like after their session, she will meet with them in their homes, and we'll talk about how she does that, because I know the three of you have studios. And so it's a different perspective on how to do it.
And you know what? If I did a shoot at a client's house and I was going to do a same day reveal, I would do exactly the same process.
Yeah,
nothing would change for me.
Yeah.
The last point I'm going to make about is I don't know how to sell products is, which should segue into our next topic, I hope, is you've got to have products available for them to see. That's step one. And then step two, you just have to get yourself a process. You have to ask them questions. Like, how cool would this be on the wall? Which book would you like more? Like, those kind of questions have to be asked. You're constantly assessing needs, and you're constantly not just asking yes and no questions, but questions where they're going to give you something more verbal back. And you can use that to justify later when it comes time to close the sale, what they kind of, I guess, want, because you'll already have assessed it. And
Absolutely.
that could be pre-shoot, that could be at your consult, that could be all sorts of things. Like I'm always taking notes at consults about what they think they might want.
Same.
And
Right.
before they come in for a consult, either in person, and most of them are now by phone, to be honest, I'm sending them like links to videos of the products. They're just like little 30-second things. They're not long.
Sure.
But like it just gives you an idea. And I say before the consult, make sure you watch these.
Right.
Because if they can see the product, then I can just say Glambox, Album, Waller. Those are my three. And it's just easier for them. So, but you got to have all those in when you meet them to take the pictures or show them the pictures.
Right. This is really a big topic, and I can tell from all the questions. I'm really sorry, we're not going to be able to answer all of them, but I think what I'll do is later I'm going to send by email the questions to these three, and maybe we'll do like a quick response somehow. I'll talk with these guys and see how we can get back some answers to the rest of the audience, because there's a lot of questions.
Choose a few good ones to highlight next week.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like maybe
we'll
we should
start off like that.
Sure.
We'll talk about it, but yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to the second part of our IPS discussion, and it's going to be about what's required to be successful at IPS. So the 6 things we're going to talk about are confidence, investment, spending money to make money, a printed price list, software to show images, and then the sales process. And like I said, the sales process, we're just going to maybe identify them this week, but next week we're going to talk about how it's actually implemented. Okay. So Sherry, let's talk more about confidence and what you need.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to answer my no to the initial question that Trevor asked me, that once I made my first IPS sale, did it boost my confidence? So my answer to that was yes and no. So I really, really lacked in confidence when I first became a newborn photographer. I started with portraits. Like I started in film. So like I was in the darkroom and I did like film. I'm not dating myself here, but once I switched over to digital, to DSLRs, I started doing weddings, and I did like the wedding circuit for about 2-3 years. And just based on transition, a lot of my wedding photographers, we built a connection. Obviously, they wanted me to now photograph their maternity and newborn. So it was just like a really easy transition. The thing is I had no idea what to do with babies, how to pose women, like with belly, like with bumps. And I was terrified. And I thought that my work was like terrible. So I was like, there's no way somebody is going to spend this money. So 2 things answer really quick. Like I'm not gonna dwell, because we all just need to know that we rock. They can't do their own. They hire us. You need to basically just show the confidence. You're photographing as a wedding photographer, as a newborn photographer, as a boudoir photographer. You do have to have skills of safety and skills of posing and skills of editing.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah.
So the confidence on that level is there are so many ways to educate yourself that is not even expensive anymore. You have your creative live options. You can take workshops from other photographers that you follow. There are YouTube tutorials. Buy a doll and practice with your baby. Go to your friends and say, pretend that you are wedding couples and, pose them. Go and try, and practice in different lighting conditions, like overhead sun, how to find the thing.
That's
Educate yourself on your camera and your technique. That in itself will boost your confidence. Like when I look at my first baby, even forget my first baby, when I look at, the last 3 years of work, and I mean, I've been, I average about, I would say 1,500 to about 2,000 a newborn session. And I've been doing that for a few years now, but the work in my mind, like I keep on getting better in my mind, because I'm trying to learn and trying to figure out. So that in itself, when you're perfecting your craft and you find yourself and you're consistent in your work, will build your confidence. And that will, there's just so many easy ways of doing that sense. The other thing, I lost my train of thought. Wow, that just completely
Well, you're
went
talking
blank.
about
And
confidence.
you're not even doing this.
No, I'm
Right?
drinking
Like,
water. This is water. Like I had, so it was education to educate to get your confidence level, and then that will just come with like being able to charge. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. No matter what you charge, whether it's a wedding, whether it's for a baby, people love their baby and people love themselves because it's their best day of their life. They're gonna pay you.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter. And like, I hate to say it doesn't matter how good or bad you are, because we're all good. We all rock. We're all at different levels of our experience. You know,
Yes.
I've been doing this for many years, and it's just learning. And 10 years from now, I'm going to look back at where I am now and be like, wow, that's what I used to charge to get that. Like, it doesn't matter. But you're photographing. We have the best job. We photograph people at their highest in life. Boudoir photographer, like Trevor, like, you know, for me, like if I ever decide to lose my weight, because that will make me feel great, I want to get behind it. I know.
Make that disappear with posing.
I know, but it's just something when as a woman, you know, when you work hard, you wanna like celebrate yourself for your accomplishment. As a wedding, you know, all of that. As a newborn baby, like they're gonna pay for your money, they're gonna pay for your images because it's the best thing ever, and that in itself boosts your confidence. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, two things. Sorry, I know we're in a rush, but first of all, Sherry, weight or not, it doesn't matter what you look like. You are beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you. I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but thank you. It's more of an internal thing.
And I've seen Trevor's pictures, and
yes, I know.
There's not a chance he wouldn't make you look good. So there. Okay. There. And
then, sorry, just on the confidence, the bottom line for confidence is that people are not going to hire you if they don't value your work. You will not get hired if people do not like your work. So automatically, when you are hired to take someone's pictures as a professional, they like your work. So they're going to pay for it.
For sure.
They're going to buy it.
They see your artistry. They see why you're so talented, right? They see it.
No one's going to hire you just like,
sight unseen. No.
If your images are like iPhone images, they wouldn't.
Yeah. I'm gonna drop into one thing Sherry said real quick. And that is that thought in your head that you are not good enough, right? And that you couldn't charge for whatever. Like, I just spent the last 2 days going through my entire blog, fixing all the broken image links from blog posts 4 years ago and 5 years ago. And so I was looking at images that I had shot a long time ago. And I went, that was good. But man, I'm a lot better now.
Yeah.
Way back when, I could still charge for those. You're always going to be better, right? You're only going to improve. Any photographer that stays completely stagnant is, I don't know how that would happen, because we all improve. We all learn something. We just by doing, we learn. Yeah. And, you know, you may not be, you know, what you consider to like other photographers be at their level, but don't worry about that. Just you don't have to match anyone else.
That's right.
Per se.
That is right.
You know, like, I mean, if you're running around with an iPhone, okay, that's different. But, you know, if the point I guess I'm trying to make is sometimes the most successful photographers are not the ones who are the most technically savvy and who create the most beautiful work that we as other photographers go, oh my God, that's beautiful work. What they are is they're able to turn that part of their brain off and go, yep, I'm going to go sell this to somebody, and this is the value I put it at.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Try not.
That is so true.
I'll be very real with you guys. I am the king of inferiority complexes. I routinely will find ways to mentally block myself from doing things because I'm afraid of like, oh shoot, should I do that or that? You got to try and get rid of that. And I am the one person who is going to try to give you advice coming from a place where that's very difficult for me. And you can do it. And you just have to sometimes ask for the money.
Trevor, I'm really, really glad to hear you say that, because I think that rings true for a lot of people. And I hear it. I hear what photographers say, and they don't believe that they can do it. But I have to tell you that it really has to do with how you connect with your clients, the personal connection, and also the way you present your work. If you show the confidence in valuing your images, valuing your product, and communicating that with your clients to say why it's so precious, why they deserve it, and why you as a photographer deserve what you charge. And that's all there is to it. Like it does happen. There are very successful photographers. I know that one of them is with us today, and I don't know if I can tell everyone, but next time we'll hopefully be able to talk with more, other photographers who've been in this for a long time, like, and really pick apart their brains on how it is, how they last, through the decades in this industry and still be successful at it. All right, we're past the top of the hour. I understand if some of you will have to leave us, but we're gonna keep going and we're gonna talk about the other things that we need for this IPS kind of thing to go through, okay? So can we go, Trevor, we're talking about investments in good products.
Yeah, this one probably should be pretty simple because I'll bet you two are probably going to echo me in this 100%, is you always show them the best one, right? You don't, like, you could order an album or a piece of wall art or something that is like kind of the lower end because you like, oh, it's going to cost me $150 to get a sample or whatever. Like, I don't know, I'm just making up a number here, versus spending $250. I am always of the opinion I would much rather spend $250. Like, when it comes to, this is like one of my small albums. This is in one of the GTAImaging Ashwood boxes. So there's always an emboss on it. So this is my sample, but my sample is still going to get an emboss like everybody else's. I'm still going to show it to them in the presentation box because that's how you're going to get it. You're going to get a fancier cover, and I mean I replace these things almost maybe twice a year in some cases. Yep. And do I make a 20-page book? No, I make a 40 or a 50-page book because I want to put this in their hand and have them go, oh God, that's heavy, right? Because people associate weight with value sometimes, and it works. So, like I choose specific covers for this, which matches what I think my clientele will want. But I invest in these products, and it does cost money. But that's like a cost of doing business. When I look at how many albums I sell a year, or how many glam boxes I sell a year, or how many wall art pieces I sell a year, and then you divide that by the cost of the sample, it's nothing. Like every sale might work out to be like $3 towards my sample. So I just have an annual budget of just saying like, okay, every year I'm going to make sure I redo my albums because I want new images in them, right? Like I always want that freshness and stuff, and it gives me a chance to make other stuff. But I always deck them out as best I can. I'm going to be making new ones with acrylic covers because that's one of the things I want to do. I like the material covers, but I want to go a little fancier.
Oh, I love the acrylic covers.
But show them the thing that is going to drop their jaw and go, I want that.
Yeah.
And that one comes in the 3rd or 4th tier package, not the 1st or the 2nd.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. I'm out.
Okay. All right. Francine.
So I think mine is pretty much, it's kind of piggybacking off of Trevor. Like definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
You need to invest money to make money. Like that's a business 101. And it starts from like your marketing. Before your clients are even your clients, invest in good marketing, invest in a good website, invest in good, right? Yes, like invest in everything from the beginning of the seed that you're planting up until the end of the sale, and it will pay off. Like I cannot explain to you how much it will pay off, but it will pay off. And like specifically with samples, you will sell what you show. So you make sure that you invest in the biggest canvas or the biggest size that you offer, because that's what you're going to sell. Like that is
so
what
they
you're
shouldn't buy the 8x10 or the 11x14.
Like, do not get a sample of your smallest size. Get the samples of the biggest sizes, because chances are, if they don't buy the biggest one, it's the one underneath. It's not going to be like your 11x14s.
Yes.
Like, you just have to invest. And I have a giant product list. I probably shouldn't have it that big, but that's another story. But I have a sample for every single product that I offer in my studio, every single one. And I sell myself as like a portrait artist, so that we sell printed product. But like, if I don't have the product as a sample, I won't sell it. So you really need to have those on hand, on display, in their face, all over the place. And you're going to sell them. And it's just an investment to making more money. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, if I told somebody, you know, if you had to spend $500 on 2 sample albums, but it would make you $20,000 to $50,000 in the course of a year, depending on your volume, would you do it? And if anybody who's even remotely good at math, they're going to say, yeah, I'd do that. Then I say, okay, go order your samples then.
Yeah, you know? And then the other thing too is the payoff. Like, are you going to invest, say you're going to invest $300 in Facebook ads, and I don't have too much success with that, so that's why I'm picking that. Or are you going to invest $300 in a sample album? Okay, so your sample album is going to pay off, depending on what your pricing is, like quadruple the amount of the investment. Are you going to get that same amount from your Facebook ads? Because you might get like 1 client from it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a better value for your investment as well. On top of, you know, you have to invest money to make money. You have to invest money smartly, and the best way to do it is in sample, because that's what's going to pay off the most.
Mm-hmm. It's the easiest money to invest.
I love that answer.
To see reward.
Yeah, but GTA also helps with your samples.
Oh,
like,
go
to their, yeah. Like you go to their showroom, you can touch and feel everything, see what works best for your brand. Because
and
what you love,
Skype and video and FaceTime around the showroom
and the thing
too.
is I don't actually sell product that I don't. Not that I love all your product, but there's some product that doesn't really go with my brand and type of, you know, style of photography. So my clients don't even know to ask that. So when I invested in all of my product, it's literally stuff that I believe in, and it's just a no-brainer. It's a really easy sale because I believe in it and I love it, and I have it in my own house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you mentioned is you went into the showroom to touch and feel before you committed to the product. So your customers are no different.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
I have a ton of pictures and videos of like showroom stuff that I go back to, and I'm like, I wonder, you know, should I add this on? Should I, like, Patricia sees me and she's like, oh, just leave her alone. She's, you know, she's in her own head right now.
Francine comes in 2, 3, 4 times to look and like, we'll talk about things like before she adds it into her product line. And I understand that, right? But that's the same way as your customers. They need to see it 3, 4 times. They need to see it on your website. They need to see it in marketing. They need to see it when they take the pictures with you, and then they need to see it again when they're doing the review session. So it's the product's always there. They're always thinking about it, so that when it's come times to make the decision, then it's easier, because it's not a new, oh, I didn't know I wasn't just taking pictures, right?
Yeah, like that's like a basic marketing principle, because I think I read somewhere that a consumer has to see something that you want to sell 7 times before they actually make the commitment of selling or hiring you. It was in relation to photographers, but we can change it to actual product as well. And if you can make it that your clients, your book clients, see your product or your end game 6 or 7 times before your sales session, I promise you, you will make a good sale. Like I will put money on that. Like they see it beforehand, they see it on your website, they see it wherever they saw you in the first place. If you actually have printed product where you're marketing, when they come into the studio, you know, they see it on the walls, then you walk around with them, they see it on your Instagram. Your end game is product, you will sell it. Like you will sell it. You don't even have to say anything, I feel, and people would be like, oh, we want to buy that. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have to be salesy at all. You can just have it in their face or
just showing it all the time.
And they will just say, oh, we really need that for our house. Oh my God, we need that.
Yep.
Amazing.
So now that everybody has plenty of time on their hands, this is the perfect time to get out and start designing some albums, figuring out products.
And we can help you with that too.
As Patricia mentioned, you can just set up an appointment for her to walk you around the studio virtually. But Patricia, what is the discount for samples?
Sample discounts run from 10 to 30% on almost everything in the studio, except for booklets and USBs, but everything else. So you get a Renzo album 30% off, Avenue Books 20% off. You know, most of the wall art is going to be 20% off. Acrylics are 10% off. If you want a video or Skype, FaceTime, showroom visit, I can do that. If you want a screen share to learn how to use Rose, just email me and we can set that up. I can help you design an album. We're offering a design album service. So there's no reason why you can't get some product into your hands. And I'm sorry for those of you who are watching a recorded version of this in the future, but we're gonna have a really big COVID-19 sale, and it's gonna be released this weekend. So I hope this makes everybody think and make everybody, you know, reach out to past clients to get the product. Get the product. The sale is gonna run long enough so that you can get the product, videotape it, show it to your clients, and get the orders in. All right. So that's just a sneak peek for you all. All right. Okay. We're gonna move on. It's 9:17. We gotta keep going.
I'll be really quick. Honestly, like. Yeah, I think for me, like, so I'm actually just going to be talking about making sure. So we're talking about printing artwork and we're talking about printing everything to show. But, you know, what about when people are like, well, how much is it? So what you should actually have is a pricing list. Like basically, you can put together a menu. So Patricia, I saw that you grabbed your folios. So these actually are fantastic. They're 8x10s. They are slip cover, like they're slip-ins. So you can change. Yeah. So the cool thing about this is, so I'm actually, for people who know me, for the last couple of years, I've been notorious for like tweaking my pricing just to kind of try like different things. So these like printed folios are fantastic because you print it, it's an 8x10, you change it and you just print another one and nobody knows the wiser. And they're fantastic. So think about when you go to a restaurant, you open up your menu and you choose your items. Now, the other cool thing about it is because you're offering a service and an experience, you hand this pricing to the client. And as they're going through it, you can physically show them and pick the products from your, you know, suitcase, from your wall, from wherever you're doing your sales session, and you can be like, this is the product, this is what it falls under, this is the price. Oh, you want a larger size? Here's a measuring tape, or here is a larger size. So having a menu or a printed price list, makes it's easier so you don't kind of stumble through your that's really pretty. Wow, I haven't seen that one. That's really pretty.
I've never seen that one either.
It's laminated, it's mounted, it's a photo on the outside. Okay.
Oh,
yeah, we need one of those that has slip-ins because I change my mind too often.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
a matted one. Okay, all right, sorry.
No, that's what I mean though. Like, figure out what works for you, figure out what you want to show. Your folio, your menu should also go to your brand, right? So kind of like get started from the beginning. And if you have your pricing, you're not stumbling or being like, oh, so that was whatever. No, it doesn't matter. Here, the prices are here. Get your calculator out and just do the numbers there. If you have it there, you're accountable. You're not stumbling. You look professional. You've now we're going to talk about this next week.
Yeah.
But having your price list will also help you figure out what your cost of goods sold are. So you can figure out how to price, how to mark up, what your margins are, what your costs are. And then this way, it's again, there's not numbers that are just made up and make believe. These are solid numbers on product that you love, that you want to show, you want to share, and you want to sell. And having these folios are fantastic because I have to just say, in 2019, I changed my prices and my whole model, which we'll talk next week, and I haven't changed it for the first time in 4 years. Like, I've actually kept my pricing the same for the last year. Like, again, for people who know me, that is a huge, huge feat. So
we're gonna learn from you what you did to get that right formula just for you, right?
Well, listen, what works for me may not work for anyone else. But again, with that next week.
We're going to talk about that all next week, yeah.
That's next week. So that's it. Print your price list. It's going to help you figure out what products you want. Patricia, I'm assuming because you help with album design, you can also help with layouts for the price list. Like, do you offer that as a service? I don't know.
You know what?
You do now.
We're flexible. Whatever you need, just let me know.
And there's a ton of templates online too, though.
Oh, yeah.
I think Designaglow has the most.
Search and you can find templates.
Yeah.
Like
there's always design templates available. Etsy, Designaglow.
Yeah, true.
So I think those are probably more, probably going to be more variety for photographers. But for sure, if they just need some simple guidance, then we can help you with that.
Yep. So that print.
Okay. And Trevor, we had some people asking, what software do you use to show your images?
Depends what the finished product is. If I'm doing one of my glam boxes, which are matted folios, I'm using Capture One.
Awesome.
For me, it's simple. I'm already using it to catalog my images and color correct them.
Right.
So I just, I just kind of cull the images and we just go through and do that. I'm thinking about incorporating like a little slideshow to start off the thing with a few of the really good images, because I've been just in the last week or two reading a lot about that and going, yeah, there's probably something there, but that's not hard to do at all. I mean, I could drop them into iPhoto or not iPhoto, but Photos on my Mac and just like do it that way too if I really want to be basic. But yeah,
it doesn't have to be fancy. That's what we're trying to get through here, right? Like,
I mean, Lightroom's got their own slideshow functionality in it. I've heard a lot of my wedding photographer friends, like they'll just get some images downloaded and they'll just throw it into some kind of thing. Like some of them use Animoto, some of them just use Lightroom, but then they're just projecting this up while everybody is eating dinner of some of the shots they've already taken with their logo already on it. Like, it's just super slick. For me, the only other thing I will do is I use Smart Albums to design my albums. I know there's Fundy and I know there's probably 15 others. They're all basically the same at the end of the day. But when I show people, if a client for me has decided we're going with an album, when I show them the actual images, I don't want to go back and after they've selected 20 images, just to pick an arbitrary number, go back and design an album and then send them album proof and then revise and do, no, sorry. No, I use Smart Albums to show them the pictures and then they decide what stays and what goes. And at the same time, we're laying out the album. And by the time the sales session's over, all I got to do is hit export and I'm done.
Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's a lead into next week, but that's the software I use. And that's why I love doing it that way.
Amazing.
I use ProSelect. So ProSelect actually has,
Yes.
so I do the slideshows.
Yeah, me too.
So before we even do anything, I sit them down and I show them a slideshow and I say nothing. With music, I set the tone, I have a Kleenex box, and then that's it. So
Mom will cry.
So I use ProSelect for my sales.
Cry too, don't worry.
I believe it. 100% believe it. I would.
Knowing their backstories.
Yeah. So and I use Fundy for my album design. So
yeah, so with that, I have ProSelect. I still haven't learned it. Yeah, so that's so bad. But I use just like I make a video slideshow, I include like the baby's info on it. So I'll have like welcome baby Ariana and like her birth date. And like I find that with the music and the details to your specific baby, you get them emotionally connected. Already, they are emotionally connected to your images. So I just put together something. I actually use like Windows Movie Maker right now because I'm not too tech savvy, but I'm learning different ones to make the video. So it's already in a video, and then I just use Adobe Bridge to sort images.
That's great.
I try not to stay on the computer too much. The video, like we do the video, and then I do my whole walk around the studio and we talk about all the sales images. And then if we have to, we come back and sort them. And I'm sure we'll talk about this later on.
Yeah.
But my goal is to sell my collection. I don't want to cut out images. I want you to buy all of them. So I try not to say, I'll say like, oh yeah, if we have to, we'll sort them out, but we don't need to necessarily, because you probably want to buy all of them. That's what I say. So I want to sell them. But yeah, you don't have to get super insane. Like there's a lot of selling software out there, but you can just use Adobe Bridge, which I think it's free. I don't think people pay for that. I don't know. And like, I think I paid like what, $15 for Windows Media Maker, Windows Movie Maker, or whatever. So you don't have to invest a lot in the software if that's what you're worried about. It's not a huge investment. Invest in the samples.
Find something that works and use it, right?
Yeah, invest in the samples and do a Google search on like music that is royalty free. There's tons of sites, and you just download ones that work for you. Easy peasy. That's the easy part.
Okay. I think we're going to move on to our final thing, and then we're going to wrap it up. We're going to talk about the basic, like the types of sales process techniques that in-person sales photographers can use to sell their products.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think we necessarily have to go through all of them because we can touch on that next week. But my point is based on what I was saying before, where I'm like notorious up until last year, to literally change my pricing and figuring out what works for me. Because if it makes sense to you, then it makes sense to your clients. If you're struggling through it, then how do you expect them to know? So there are so many different ways of putting together your sales process. And there are session fees. There's no session fees. There's a la carte. There's packages. There's sliding scale options. So, all the different types of sales are available online for you to learn and for you to, get from another photographer on how they do it and how to figure out. The best thing is you honestly can't also figure out really what works for you until you know what your prices are, because then it's easier to put a dollar amount to my session fee is $100, my session fee is $350. Does it include anything? Does it include a credit? Do you not have a session fee because you built it into your packages? Because you have package 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are so many different ways, and I've probably tried every single one of them to figure out which one works for me. So next week, I think we're actually going to be talking about what each of us do, because I think we all do very different,
a little bit different,
not only different processes, but we actually have all different like methods, like pricing methods. Like I know Francine and I are very different, and what we do. So that's next week. So I think this week, if I'm going to give you homework and, you know, whatever, I would try to, you know, find 1 to 3 different sales tactics of packages versus a la carte versus something that, you know, you're interested in or that you think makes sense when you're doing a sales session, and sit down with yourself through a video to talk it back to see if it makes sense and that it flows easy for you, that it makes sense in your sales process, or talk to your husband or your significant other, your wife or whatever, and see if it makes sense. And if it doesn't, why? And then move on to the next one. But that's why I think we can talk next week about it. So this week, just kind of go through and just figure out, right?
Okay.
I think next week we should, well, we'll talk about this after, but we should go through the different options there are for.
Definitely we will. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know.
So I'm going to wrap it up here and invite everyone to join us next week. Want to let everyone know that Francine's holding an image competition, and she's extending a free entry to everyone who's registered for this webinar. So I'm going to send you all an email, and if you wish to submit an entry to the Creative Image Awards, then you can do that at no charge. And the submission date has been extended until April 30th. So you can follow her and join and submit your images. We're going to be uploading this to the YouTube channel so that it can be viewed again. I know some people didn't have a good connection. And hopefully we'll see you all again next week. But before we go, can we take a group picture? Can everyone who's still here turn on their webcams? And then let's try to take a group picture of everyone. I'm just waiting for people to come on.
And while we're doing that, let's get just a couple questions going for next week.
Good idea.
All right?
Those some questions.
Yeah,
I think that we should maybe take a whole session to just answer everyone's questions.
Yeah, I think when we plan for next
questions,
we should be able to work some of those questions in. So, so Patricia, are we okay if they're sending you an email?
Yeah, they can send me emails. Patricia, Patricia at GTAImaging.com. I sent you all an email to get.
Yeah. I want to hear some questions about
right now
and
or later
into what we want to talk about next week, which is how to do it. This week was about how to just overcome some of the stumbling blocks and things you need to do to get ready. So it's to kind of inspire you to do this. But next week we want to get into probably 3 very, very different ways of doing this.
Yeah. And
no way more right than the next, just different. So
I think that's all we're getting now.
Really? Where's everybody
at? 24 of you left here. Where are you all?
Everybody.
It's right. You never know what people are dressed. You don't know how people. There might be something embarrassing. Listen, have you not seen the Zoom meetings from work that people are going to the washroom? People are naked. You know, it's a family show, people. Family show.
All right. Well.
Come on. All right.
Tell Kevin to get in there. Hi,
okay. I'm going to take a screenshot. Oh, there's one more. Hi. Anyone else?
Anyone else? Hold on. Where's my active? Okay.
Big smiles. 1, 2, 3.